Hey there, stargazers, and welcome to the Daily Space Weather Show. Just bringing you the most comprehensive daily space weather and detailed solar imagery you'll find in the known universe. Today, first things first, happy birthday to Smash Staff. You might see a crazy CME popping off in the northwestern limb. Don't worry, we'll show you some close-ups of that and lots more here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. This is the past 24 hours from SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. It's showing the ultraviolet emissions from ionized iron and ionized helium. The biggest story of the day continues to be the biggest filament we've covered in over 6 years on the channel. Check that out. That thing is berserk. Berserk. So what we're talking about is this dark absorption feature you see down here. That is a lot of material suspended by magnetic fields, defying gravity, and increasing the possibility of a massive coronal mass ejection in the earthly vicinity. You can also see a crown prominence up there by the Earth scale. So here's the equatorial view, and you can see that pretty sweet CME popping off there as that prominence in the northwestern limb ejected late in the day yesterday. And here's an incredible close-up of that. Pretty freaking sweet. And there are plasma filaments all over the solar disk. Likelihood of coronal mass ejections remains at just this side of 100%. It's basically 100%. There is actually one occurring, I believe, once again as we create the video. Also, a solar flare was just happening. We'll give you more information about that here momentarily also. By the way, the most important feature right now, in my opinion, is that. That is the anchor point of that massive plasma filament, named after one of our viewers, our top supporter of all time, John Katowski. So that area right there is the place to watch because that is the southern anchor point of that plasma filament. If we see a large flare down there, for instance, that could be the indication that that filament is releasing. Of course, we don't say that flares cause coronal mass ejections. I think it's more likely that the coronal mass ejections cause the flare, but in any case, that is certainly the place to watch. It is where the action could pop off, and as far as the action in space weather goes, our channel's got it. There is absolutely no competition for the Daily Space Weather Show. We've been doing it for over 6 years, like I said earlier. And this is the most comprehensive daily space weather channel and content, most detailed imagery of the sun. We even throw in meteorology segments because it's a value-added service. Forecasting the regular weather is a little too easy, but some people don't understand how to do it. So, hey, we empower our viewers to understand the physics and understand how to forecast. So, cheers. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button to get this content in your feed. Even if you're not new to the channel, press all of the things. Press like, press subscribe, press share. Tell your friends and foes about us. It seems to be a little bit troublesome to get onto screens. If you cite too many facts on YouTube, folks, it's very dangerous, very controversial, and you might find yourself with difficulties in growing your channel. So press all the things, leave a comment. Thanks to everybody who has. Thanks to the Smash team. Once again, happy birthday to Smash Staff. Give her a raise by pressing the share button. And don't forget to wish her a happy birthday in the comments. Cheers. Thanks to all of our viewers. Thanks to our new YouTube subscribers, etc. And let's talk about our paid affiliates/sponsors. So this video does have a paid affiliate/sponsor links. One of them is the Amazon shop. It's Amazon.com/shop/SmashoMash. You can get some of our choices there for supplements, and perhaps the most important nutritional supplement that we take is the L-lysine, an essential amino acid. It's responsible for the productions of hormones, enzymes, and antibodies. And when we say it's an essential amino acid, we mean you don't make it in the body. It needs to be taken in through diet. And if your diet sucks, L-lysine is the way to beef it up. We also have the Swanson product there on our list. If you want to get a little bit higher quantity there, try the Swanson version instead. That's, I think they're all 500 milligrams. But you may want to supplement with L-lysine. It's well known to have all sorts of beneficial effects. Be careful, folks. It might be controversial to take essential amino acids. Not sure on that. Anyway, find the list of some of the supplements I take, most of them indeed, at Amazon.com/shop/SmashoMash, linked below the video and on the homepage, SmashoMash.com. Another paid affiliate/sponsor is the Hemp Lucid Shop. Shout out to the nice folks over there at Hemp Lucid. I'm a huge proponent of the stress and immune products. Yeah, the stress products. And also the Focus mushroom gummies. Those are a good choice as well. Save a ton of cash right now on the stress, sleep, and immune stacks. Save $15 and save even more if you get the full stack set up. Links below the video to our paid affiliate/sponsors, our homepage where you can also find those same links. So visit us on the internet. Click the things in the description. And today's featured product is not the one I'm wearing, which is MANSA, which stands for Make America Not Suck Again, because the best way to get out of a hole is to stop digging. No, that's not what it is at all. It's Shartlight. Yeah, Shartlight. It's almost like gaslighting, except when somebody fails at it. So what's gaslighting, you ask? It's when somebody attempts to convince you that the past did not happen the way that it did. If they succeed in convincing you that the past did not happen the way it did, you have been a victim of gaslighting. If they fail at trying to convince you that the past occurred a different way than it actually did, they've Shartlighted. They've failed at gaslighting and done nothing but reduce their own credibility. Have you noticed some YouTube channels reducing their own credibility over the past couple of years? I certainly have. There's a lot of Shartlighting going on the internet. It's pretty pathetic, and it's not fooling most rational people. Never try to gaslight somebody with a better memory than you. You will fail, and you will just simply crap on your own credibility. Shartlight is today's featured product from the Redbubble shop. That's also linked below the video and on the homepage, again, at SmashoMash.com, the official homepage of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Whew. Anyway, let's get back to space. This is what's going on in the closest star here for yesterday plus today to date. And we've seen a slight reduction here in solar activity. Oh my God, folks, the sun is shutting down. It's time to form a cult. It's time to join a cult, folks. The sun is shutting down. We're all going to die. Pardon my sarcasm. We've had some degradation of sunspots. Some sunspots go away and then come back. It's been a slight reduction in solar activity, period. So that's the SDO continuum. Here's the SDO magnetogram in its full colorized glory. And yeah, one new sunspot rose over the eastern limb there. There's another one about to rise north of that. I'm rather sure of it. And anyway, let's take a brief moment to look at what's going on Earth, because there is quite a bit of volcanic activity and also some seismic activity. A possible series of foreshocks could be occurring in the western Pacific, which could indeed be quite dangerous. Anyway, this is what's going on at the world's most delicious sounding volcano, Stromboli. It's just upstream from Calzone. Just kidding, folks. There's no Calzone volcano that I'm aware of, but some spattering happening there at Stromboli. And let's see what else has been erupting. Stromboli. Now that I've made everybody hungry, some more lava flowing down the Sierra del Fuoco. Nishinoshima has produced about a 5,000-foot plume of volcanic ash there, located in the volcano islands of Japan. 5,000-foot ash plume over Subanose-jima also. Unknown volcanic ash cloud over Mount Mayan on the Philippines. Mount Ibu producing a 7,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. Semeru exploding. 15,000-foot ash plume over East Java, Indonesia from Semeru. Semeru has been quite active for the past week or so. Dakono exploding on the Isle of Halmahera, Indonesia. 8,000-foot ash plume, flight level 080. The underwater seamount, Ruby, showing seismic activity there. So perhaps some eruptive activity about to occur near the Mariana Islands there. Mount Ruby. A station at Saipan has detected some activity there. Santiaguito in Guatemala, volcanic ash not observed. Fuego exploding, flight level 150 over Guatemala. It's a 15,000-foot ash plume. Headed down to South America to Colombia. Not sure about Nevado del Ruiz, but Sangay is exploding in Ecuador. 21,000-foot ash plume. New emissions from Revenador also, and a 30,000-foot ash plume from Sabancaya. So uptick there at Sabancaya, flight level 300 over Peru. Not sure about Ubinas. And let's talk about seismic activity. This one's pretty important, folks. We may be seeing a series of foreshocks here. So sometimes the planet actually alerts us to large earthquakes before they occur. So we've seen a series of 6-magnitude earthquakes south of Japan, near the Izu Islands. So there you go. There's the location of the largest quake of the past 24 hours. That was a 6.1. We'll get to it. But here is the area. And that's just the past 24 hours there. An earthquake swarm has been going on for days south of Japan. So the point is, any earthquake can be a foreshock. And let's hope those aren't foreshocks to a major earthquake, because that could be a tsunami-producing region. So you don't really want to see a Pacific-wide tsunami. That is unhealthy for humans. Tsunamis are basically the most dangerous natural phenomenon that occurs regularly. So anyway, we'll cite quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude, starting with a 5.2 at the Izu Islands. So no surprise there, you're going to have a lot of quakes on that list. That 6.1 occurred at 1:31 this morning, so there was actually a long period of calm yesterday, and then starting right back up. Surface level quakes there. 6.1 magnitude at 1:31 there, south of Japan, as the unrest continues in the West Pacific. Also south of Panama, there was a 5.4. That was at 3:28 this morning. Kuril Islands there, south of Kamchatka, had a 5.0 this morning at 4:35. And then more unrest at the Izu Islands, like a 5.1, a 5.0, and a 5.5. Those all within an hour of each other, between 4:57 and 5:49 Universal Time this morning. So let's hope those aren't foreshocks to a really large magnitude earthquake, because, again, sometimes we do get those foreshocks. Statistics, it's a way to forecast things if you are not completely insane and full of crap. Anyway, getting back to space, where it's at. I've got 2 frequencies from the SDO and a microphone. Where it's at. 171 plus 304 angstroms. That is the past 24 hours from SDO once again. And again, we do have a new active region here rising in the northeast. So that one's still a few hours out. I suspect that is a sunspot. We're seeing quite a bit of coronal brightening there as that area rises. And actually, the most recent flare was from this sunspot right here. And let's talk stats. Got to talk some stats here when it comes to space weather. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux, it came up 1 point to 156 solar flux units. There it is in the 1-year chart. The radio flux is the black line. The sunspot number is the red line. Those are the 2 most proportional data sets that we have when it comes to solar cycles. So when you see a high sunspot number, you see a high radio flux. The radio flux comes from the upper chromosphere and lower corona. That's the area just above the surface of the closest star. Anyway, that chart is from solon.info, and you can expect to see a continued uptick in the next year or so, since we are well off of solar maximum. Now, interestingly enough, NOAA has a weird forecast here. I'm not sure what they're talking about. NOAA saying that there's a CME to impact. And, I mean, we forecasted two, which both impacted. And now NOAA looks like it's behind the schedule here. I don't know what's up with it. They're forecasting possible geomagnetic storms on late day today on October 6th through the 7th due to positive polarity coronal hole high-speed stream effects and then glancing effects from the October 2nd coronal mass ejection. So it doesn't show up in their model, but that's the forecast from NOAA, so you got to take it seriously, folks. Could see some more geomagnetic storms early in the day, really throughout the day tomorrow, starting late tonight on October 6th. So that's NOAA's forecast. I don't think we forecasted that one. Go watch our video from October 2nd and October 3rd. I don't know. I don't remember forecasting that, but here's their Enlil spiral, and they're showing I don't know what they're showing. It doesn't look like a coronal hole high-speed stream. I don't know what's going on with their model. It's looking a little bit dubious to me. Let us know what you think in the comments, especially if you watch our videos daily. So that's NOAA's strange forecast. And as far as NASA's forecast, NASA hasn't forecasted anything. So this hasn't even been updated for quite a few days here. And so let's just skip that and move to Earth's magnetic moment from space. So we did see the CME that we forecasted to arrive late in the day yesterday into early in the day today. It was another weak impact, but it was a correct forecast. So anyway, that's the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space, showing magnetohydrodynamic pressure, and things are geomagnetically calm. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. We show it daily on the channel because a lot of people are very spooked that doomsday has arrived, civilization's going to be destroyed, the end times are here, it's the apocalypse, it's Armageddon, yada yada yada, Nibiru is going to eat the moon or something. There's the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground, and things look just fine. I'm not spooked of that at all. Hopefully you're not either. KP index is currently at 2.33. Like I said, a geomagnetically calm situation. So it is slightly elevated here from a coronal mass ejection impact. And once again, a correct forecast from our channel and apparently nobody else in the world, including NASA, NOAA, and other, quote, space weather and, quote, channels on YouTube. So here's the CME impact, the other one that we forecasted. It was minor, just as forecasted. And here you can see the signatures, the telltale signs of a coronal mass ejection impact. Sudden changes to the magnetic field strength and orientation, an uptick in solar wind density, an uptick in solar wind velocity. That is a minor CME impact. And a perfect example of how this impact was actually stronger than the last one, but didn't cause a geomagnetic storm. Why? Because of magnetic field inconsistency. So if you look at this top line, we didn't see an extended period of negative BZ. So even though it was a much higher density and even a higher velocity coronal mass ejection impact than the one on the previous day, it didn't create geomagnetic storm conditions because of the magnetic field orientation. The red line is the vertical component of the magnetic field, known as the BZ. And since we didn't have a strong negative BZ signal, even though the density made it all the way up to 15 protons per cubic centimeter, and the speed made it all the way up to nearly 500 kilometers per second, no geomagnetic storm was triggered. Anyway, hopefully you're not triggered by all the facts that we present on the channel. Here is the latest solar wind, which is about 12 protons per cubic centimeter solar wind velocity, ramping back down here to background levels at about 412 kilometers per second. GOES magnetometers are chill, no major spikes in that. So again, not a major CME impact. And it all has to do with magnetic field orientation and strength. So this is why even a very hard CME impact sometimes doesn't create anything like a Carrington event. To have a thing like a Carrington event, you have to have a lot of things in place in exactly the right sort of orientation, I'll say. Next, the top view, look at the plane field plot. So there is the heliospheric current sheet. The solar plasma is polar. Earth is right in the center of a south pole current sheet. No sudden changes expected there. Everything is looking pretty smooth. Again, we are expecting, though, another active region to rise in the northeast in the coming, I'll say, 12 hours, 18 hours. Here's our line of sight field plot. Here the photosphere magnetism is depicted in grayscale. That's the gong magnetogram. The solar B field, the field that goes through the magnet, is depicted in blue. Solar polar fields are depicted in red and green for south and north respectively. So that's our line of sight field plot. And next is our line of sight coronal hole plot. So there's what's going on. We do have a significant south pole oriented coronal hole here rotating into the Earth facing zone. That will indeed create some geomagnetic activity, most likely. We can expect some bit of an uptick in solar wind parameters in about 5 days from that. Let's see, there's the latest image, and let's cut to the SDO. So there's the SDO, 211 angstroms wavelength. And we're talking about this coronal hole in the southeast. There's a little closer view of that. It is close enough to the equator that it is very likely to produce an uptick in space weather at Earth. So that's something that's on the way. Besides that, not a lot. There's an extreme close-up of that coronal hole. What evil lurks in the depths of coronal holes? The SMASH team knows. Don't worry, folks. No evil lurks in the depths of coronal holes. Evil only lurks in the depths of censorship, fraud, misrepresentation, nonsense being promoted, facts being suppressed. Speaking of facts, let's move to sunspots. There is the current sunspot number now at 150, according to the Royal Observatory of Belgium. And here is our flare probability and scoreboard. So 3459 did get a name. The next named sunspot is likely to be, well, it's definitely going to be 3460. And we may have a sunspot here. But again, very likely to see one rise in the northeast. And let's cut to our, that's 94 angstroms plus the SDO continuum. And it looks like the most active sunspots have been in the eastern limb here. So again, the real place to watch is this area down here. That is where that massive plasma filament is anchored. And that sunspot that's just rotating past the Earth-facing zone there, that is a massive sunspot with, I don't know, over 100 ombre. That sunspot might be a bad ombre with that many ombre. All right, if that's not some heliophysics nerd humor for you, I don't know what is. And let's move to energetic particles and solar flares before we're old and gray. Not that there's anything wrong with being old and gray. Anyway, there is the GOES proton flux, which is flatlined. No solar energetic particles for quite some time. And we did have a solar flare happen right as we did show prep. It was only a sea level event. Let's take a look at that in its close-up view here. It's a long-duration C-class flare, and it was in the northeastern limb. We'll actually be able to show you that here. There's also some activity happening right in the southern portion of the Earth-facing solar disk right now as well. We'll show you that also here in a minute. It was a C3.4 class flare. And let's switch to flares. There is that's SDO 131 plus 94 angstroms. Another 24-hour video from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. Those are species of ionized iron. And just keep in mind, folks, that while these wavelengths are good at showing solar flares, they are not showing X-rays. This is part of the extreme ultraviolet spectrum. So that's what's up. And let's talk about what's going on overhead. Of course, we encourage our viewers to look up. One of the tools you can use for that is skyandtelescope.org's star chart. If you're up before dawn, you might see Jupiter, the moon, also Venus. And if you've got low skies and low light pollution and clear skies, you might even see Mercury there rising ahead of the sun. If you're viewing the dusk sky, you might get a great view of Mars. Right next to Spica is the bright star that's next to Mars, just on the other side of the ecliptic there. Next, your solar system forecast. And by the way, if you think the planets are in control of the sun, think again. Like 1,000 years of data indicates that planets are not in control of the sun. Yes, planets don't orbit the sun. The sun and planets, they all orbit their common center of gravity, known as the barycenter. Yes, when Jupiter and Saturn line up, they do move the sun in that direction a little bit. Does that control solar activity? Well, absolutely not. Do comets control solar activity? Well, absolutely not. There's no indication of this. So extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. If you've got extraordinary claims, please provide the extraordinary evidence. Otherwise, you may be berated in the comments section. Anyway, here we are free speech advocates. And the danger of being into free speech is that you might sound like a complete dolt. Please don't sound like a complete dolt. Do some research. You've got access to the internet if you're viewing this video. So here's the solar system forecast. This is where things are today. We'll advance this 1 week. On the 13th, we will have a crescent waning moon. And let's talk about M31. Yeah, M31, the Andromeda Galaxy. Now, some people are scared of the Andromeda Galaxy because, oh no, it's going to collide with the Milky Way. In 1 trillion years, it's going to be like half of the sky or something. M31, the Messier catalog entry number 31, the Andromeda Galaxy. That is it from NASA's SWIFT mission in visible and ultraviolet light. Great image there from SWIFT. And of course, there's an article on space.com if you want to read about M31. Why are we talking about the Andromeda Galaxy? Well, because today, on October 6th, 100 years ago, Edwin Hubble put forth a super important argument. So check this out. This is a reproduction of the original glass plate, and he writes, VAR, meaning variability, because check it out. There's the original glass plate reproduction of M31. And guess what he photographed here? He photographed a bunch of dust lanes. So you see all these areas where there's like no light, because this is in like negative. That's why the dark parts, the bright parts appear dark. See all these bright areas? Those are dust lanes. And he was noting that there is variability in that. It's not just a variable star. It's weirder than that, because back in 1923, nobody knew what a galaxy was. People thought they were looking at nebulae. Galaxies are definitely not nebulae. That's an object much, much farther away than the nebulae which are visible in the Milky Way galaxy. That is a different galaxy. So that's sort of our cosmology segment of the day and astronomy photo of the day, right, perfectly combined. Because in the 1920s, galaxies were not a thing. So that was a debate that was going on at the time. And let's move on to coronal mass ejections. And there were some spectacular ones. So late in the day yesterday, also early in the day yesterday, a bunch of CMEs happening. We do not anticipate those to be earthly directed. So that's 102 frames from yesterday. And how about an additional 33 frames from today? We'll also show the C3 and C2 together. And let's just show our further zoomed in view here. And we'll let those play through all the way for your viewing pleasure. It's little more than a spectacular light show. We do not anticipate those coronal mass ejections based on the available coronagraph imagery to be earthly directed. We'll also show stereo A, which is located where that red dot is. See that red dot there? That's stereo A. It's getting better and better, stereo A. Our finest days lie ahead. And there is that sweet CME out of the northwestern limb. It is slightly behind the limb as well, nowhere near Earth. It's not only way off to the west, but it's sort of in the opposite direction as well. So yeah, no new CMEs headed at Earth, but the possibility for new CMEs headed at Earth is super high. Why? Because of filaments. Look at the filament fest that's going on. And man, oh man, that is a berserk number of filaments. And yeah. So today we're actually showing Udaipur, India's imagery. And those little variations you see there, that's because of clouds. That's not the sun going crazy. That's just clouds. Because this imagery is hydrogen alpha and clouds are mostly made of hydrogen. You know, H2O. Anyway, let's show the grayscale imagery here, and we're going to count filaments once again because there is such an insane number of filaments on the Earth-facing portion of the closest star. So let's try to count these. We're going to start with this one because this one is so huge. That is one single filament, folks. So that's 1. We'll say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So at least 11, make it 12. This is the Robitaille filament, by the way. Make it 13 filaments on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. That's a lot of filaments, and any of those could become a coronal mass ejection under the right scenario. And remember, folks, you don't need to see sunspots. You don't need to see solar flares. Coronal mass ejections happen on the regs without either of those things. And so, anyway, that's the scenario. If you want to name any of those filaments, besides that largest one, which is already named, come join us over on Twitter, thanks to our new Twitter followers. Congratulations on realizing that the Twitter feed exists. We're as surprised about that as we are about people finding the YouTube channel with the pathetic, ridiculous, evil, corporatist state of censorship on the internet. Seriously, folks, censorship is the biggest problem facing mankind. Centralization and censorship are no longer needed. People can handle all of the facts. Just allow people to obtain all of the facts. And freedom of speech absolutely means freedom of reach. What, I'm going to go to the town square, and when I yell things from the town square, you're going to, like, put a muzzle over my face? Freedom of speech absolutely means freedom of reach, Elon. Deboosting is censorship. Period. I mean, I don't know. If you've got arguments, leave a comment. Don't worry, we won't delete your comments like some channels do. Because we're free speech purists, so we allow people to make fools of themselves. Let's take a look at this crown prominence. Sweet crown prominence up there at the northern hemisphere, at the northern polar region. And we may be seeing a CME happening now from that region in the south central region. Right down here could be a CME popping off, or it could just be some plasma reorientation happening. I don't know. I'm not really particularly concerned about it. You know why? Because the sun's not going to kill you. That's why. Yeah, space. Space. A frontier, which is not nearly as scary as many idiotic channels on YouTube would tend to have you believe. Oh, yes. Yes, there is certainly some cosmology nonsense on the internet right now. So let's get to our bonus features segment here, now that we've shown the latest couple of hours. Oh, and that most recent C flare, it came from this area right up here. That's where that latest C flare came from. And here is the bonus features segment. Bonus features, starting out with satellite charging hazards from the satellite's community dashboard. We have some minor surface charging hazards there in the eastern Pacific. Those are when low energy electrons build up on the outside of spacecraft. It's only minor surface charging. It's really not anything to be concerned about. And next to goes electron flux there, coming up off of quite low levels there. Keep in mind it is right around midnight local time for the GOES 16 and the GOES 18, represented by those blue and red M's up there. That's midnight local time. The N's mean noon local time for the geosynchronous near equatorial satellites. And those are radiographic measurements from the geosynchronous orbits. They measure the electron flux at the F layer of the ionosphere. Here's the 1-year chart of the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron flux. That's from Solon.info if you want to monitor that yourself. And there is the forecast model by NOAA. NOAA was off by a bit for the past couple of days there. NOAA expecting a bit of an uptick there in the electron flux, and I would tend to agree. It looks like they're not forecasting their own coronal mass ejection impact. Anyway, that's NOAA's forecast model. Next, we'll show the F layer of the ionosphere. Again, that's the layer where it's measured. It's located about 300 kilometers of altitude. The F layer, here it is in vibrational frequency. During these extended geomagnetic calm conditions, we'll also show the anomaly. There's the anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. Lots of blue there on the map, mostly high-frequency anomalies showing up, which is what you expect to see when there are no geomagnetic storms happening. So the ionosphere right now pretty diffuse. Mostly high-frequency anomalies happening. Anyway, there's the latest image, 11:45 universal time for the ionogram. Quite a bit of high-frequency anomaly there. And there is the 11:45 universal time anomalygram. Next, the ionosphere nowcast. It shows total electron content anomaly, and the maximum usable frequency and maximum usable frequency anomaly. This is good for radio operators and GPS users. And of course, those things are indeed related. Your GPS will create errors, and your radio will work well at the same place because of signal refraction caused by all of that material, all of those free electrons. Yeah, they refract the signal. So they refract your signal back down to Earth, but they refract your signal also from your GPS satellite, creating GPS errors. Hopefully that helps if you don't understand the physics. Keep in mind this is the daily space weather. And next we'll show the total electron content by itself, and you're going to see a huge anomaly in here, and it's going to cause people to freak out. Watch. Total electron content. Oh no, the electrons, they've vanished. The electrons have vanished, folks. It's because Nibiru must have flown past and sucked out all the electrons, right? It's some kind of an error. I don't know what's up with that. I've never seen that before. that is not a thing that is likely to have happened. It's not because a black hole opened up. It's not because they turned on CERN. It's not because of chemtrails, contrails, or HARP. It's because of some kind of an error in the data. Watch. Whoops! The electrons have vanished. Oh no! Oh no! Get in your bunker! Anyway, some oddities there in the total electron content forecast. I suspect it's totally erroneous. We'll also show the total electron content anomaly from the 10-day average over North America. So there's that. And this does not look anomalously. This looks totally normal. Only some minor high electron counts over places like Florida and the Western Atlantic. We'll close out space weather before we move to meteorology with the latest. And first of all, let's see if this is a sunspot down here. Nope, that's only a plage. This area right here, I mean. Oh, there's a new sunspot. And that's a new sunspot as well. So it looks like we may be seeing an uptick in solar activity once again. If you were banking on the sun shutting down, you should go to a different bank, because the bank of grand solar minimum is officially bankrupt. We are nowhere near solar maximum yet, still like a year out. So facts, pardon the inconvenient facts, folks, but facts, folks, it's what Smash News Network, least busted name in news, is all about. Just making America not suck again, that's all. Also making Earth not suck again. Check out the Mensa products from the Redbubble shop. And let's move to meteorology, as we've got major Saharan dust. Check it out, Saharan dust making it all the way to Ireland now, folks. So perhaps some spectacular sunsets coming tonight in Ireland, and maybe a spectacular sunrise this morning. Saharan dust making it way up to the north there. And very, very dusty there in West Africa. Also in the easternmost Atlantic there, near the African coast. Major dust there. I figured I'd show it. I wanted to see what the situation was with the dust. We've got an interesting low that's going to circle around in Canada. We'll show you the forecasts. First, the current situation from your Smash News Network weather station. That's what's going on for surface winds for the eastern world. These are the jet streams. These are the jet streams of the central world. And don't forget the surface winds. There you are. There is a strong low here, right in the middle of the North Atlantic. Surface winds of the west are looking like that. And there are the jet streams of the west. And here's your pressure map, by the way. We've got this strong low pressure here over Ontario. And interestingly enough, this low pressure, whoops, let me get rid of that. This low pressure is going to circle up like this and bring a bunch of snow into portions of Canada. We'll show the forecast here in a minute. First, clouds and fog. So there is the shortwave radiation map. It depicts clouds and fog. Look at all the low clouds over the remaining there over the eastern Pacific. Massive bank of low clouds there, stretching for thousands and thousands of miles. Lots of low clouds over the North Atlantic as well. That is your shortwave radiation map from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. And here is your weather.gov map, and look at all the freeze warnings there. Freeze warnings out the wazoo. Freeze warnings out the yin-yang over there. I'm not going to try to go over all of those counties, but yada, 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 there's the key. There are your weather warnings. Another website you could visit, if you type in weather.gov in your browser. And here come some forecasts. First, the GFS 72-hour temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius. That's what's up. Anomalously warm on the west and becoming anomalously cool in the east. Next, pressure and precipitation. And like I said, that low is going to circle up around into Canada, bringing some heavy snows there to eastern Canada. That's the 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. And the jet stream is what is in charge of all of this. It's what brought those freeze warnings. And it's going to be in charge of those other motions as well. The jet stream, it's actually in control of your weather. You know what's not in control of your weather? People! People aren't controlling the weather. I mean, we haven't heard many comments about that, so I guess I've probably invited some now. Sorry about that. It's like summoning a demon. Yeah. Don't say its name 3 times. Chemtrails, chemtrails, chemtrails. Not a thing. Chemtrails, a theory from people who don't understand the weather or airplane tech. Anyway, that's a jet stream forecast at 250 millibar winds for the next 72 hours based on a GFS model. And here is the surface wind and pressure. So we're just showing this to show how that low is going to come up, brush across Nova Scotia, and then make a turn to the west. So that's a kind of a backward weather pattern. It's the GFS 72-hour 10-meter wind and mean sea level pressure. By the way, these are all brought to you by Tropical Tidbits. Check it out if you want to make your own weather forecast, tropicaltidbits.com. It is splentacular. Next, lightning. That's what's going on. We've actually got low lightning counts right now. Low lightning counts. At least when we did show prep. According to lightningmaps.org. Look at that. Very low lightning here on a global scale. Only 73 strikes per minute. So very low lightning. I don't know. Maybe that's going to spook. Oh no! It's because Nibiru. Nibiru's taking the world's lightning. Oh no! Nibiru. By the way, folks, the reason that we don't think that things like phantom planets and stars exist is because space is mostly empty. And when there are really big things floating around, guess what happens? You can see them. We don't see them. That's why we don't believe that they exist. I know, it's crazy controversial stuff. By the way, if you enjoy the content and you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a member of the SMASH team. If you want to read my crap theory, CRAPF, about the actual plausible mechanism that underlies the solar sunspot cycles, become a gold member. You can read all about it before the paper hits peer review or publication. Yeah, we already posited the theory. It's just that the paper's not done yet because of things like funding and time. So, smashomash.com/SMASH team. Support the channel that way. Directly, we created our own website similar to Patreon. That's where the paywall is located. However, even the bronze level gets email alerts for videos like this one. smashomash.com/SMASH team, the official subscription service of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And you can find all those links on the homepage at smashomash.com. We launched back in February of 2019 in response to the pathetic censorship by mainly Facebook at the time, now known as Meta, one of the 4 evilest corporations in the world. And let's close this thing out with U.S. Doppler radar, clouds and fog, and water vapor. So there is the Doppler radar map showing vertical motion in the air column. We're going to focus on the lower 48. There you are. There is clouds and fog, and you can see that cold air once again intruding across the Dakotas and northern Minnesota from Canada. It's a second wave of very cold Canadian air. And here's the water vapor map. It'll be even more evident there. And we're having a compression across Pennsylvania because of this blocking feature. You've got dry massive air on this side. You've got a relative low in between, and you've got dry massive air on this side, which is also cold. And that's what's causing the precipitation in the Ohio Valley. Here's your recap to close this thing out. U.S. Doppler radar. Ground-based systems showing vertical motion in the air column. Space-based systems showing infrared radiation. It depicts clouds and fog even though half the country is still dark. Yeah, you can see clouds and fog at nighttime. And last but not least, water vapor. It shows all of the water vapor. When your Doppler's not clear, this will clear things up. And that's where we will close this thing out. Once again, happy birthday to Smash staff. And we'll see you soon here at the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. In the meantime, I'll have been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back. I'm going back to the bunker again. All the stupid crap I've heard encouraged me to get in.